Welcome to Rob Schmitt Tonight. 8 days out, and last night, Donald Trump's fascist regime, which is not even in power, forced New York City to hold a bizarre Nazi rally at Madison Square Garden. You probably didn't realize that Bobby Kennedy and Elon Musk were Nazis. I didn't either. Or the founder of Death Row Records, Nazi. The crowd support was even weirder. Orthodox Jews were all over the place. A very unlikely support group for today's American Nazi Party. Many Jews were even invited to speak last night, which was really surprising. But still, we know it was a fascist Hitlerian campaign event because Hillary Clinton reminded us that this same thing happened at Madison Square Garden 85 years ago. So, of course, any politician holding a rally at MSG is naturally echoing Adolf Hitler. Everyone except John F. Kennedy Jr., or John F. Kennedy, Jimmy Carter, and Bill Clinton. As you see here, they all held rallies there, but they don't count. In case you missed it, we wanted to play for you some of the fascist rhetoric that we heard last night. Take a listen.
America First includes all Americans, regardless of their race, their gender, or their sexual orientation.
And a vote for Donald Trump is a vote for economic prosperity and opportunity for every single one of us as Americans.
I want to protect the Constitution. I want to protect freedom of speech.
It's the freedom to say what's obviously true as a free man and not a slave. And I just want to say thank you, Donald Trump, for that.
How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
We bleed the same blood. We share the same home. And we salute the same great American flag.
So divisive. So terrifying. Ooh, puts chills down your spine, doesn't it? That in America, that kind of talk. In reality, it was pretty mundane for a fascist rally at Madison Square Garden, which of course is why trash media outlets, and this is most of them these days, were so hyper-focused on what comedian Tony Hinchcliffe said about Puerto Rico 3 hours before Donald Trump even entered the building. They're so desperate for rage bait that they're attacking the jokes of a notoriously offensive comedian, a guy that does the Comedy Central roasts, claiming he somehow speaks for the campaign. I doubt anybody in the campaign even knew what he was going to say. And Tony Hinchcliffe says this same kind of material everywhere he goes, and nobody ever cares. It's all fine. He's racist, he's offensive, he's hilarious. He says this stuff on Comedy Central all the time, and nobody cares. But last night they sure did. I took some friends to last night's rally. I guess we're all Nazis too. We don't look like Nazis, but you never know. MSNBC tried to paint us in that light, of course, using these on-air banners for everybody that attended. Trump's MSG rally comes 85 years after pro-Nazi rally at famed arena. Oh, okay. There's been a lot of basketball and hockey games there, too, but nobody talks about that. And Trump speaking at site of 1939 Nazi rally. You'd think it was the only two things that have happened at MSG this entire time. It was even better to listen to NBC's cable insane asylum. Here you go.
But that jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling. Because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally. Donald Trump, the man who has threatened to use the military against opponents he calls enemies from within, who has threatened to use the troops to quell what he says are lawless cities, and to use those troops to carry out mass deportations of immigrants, is once again turning Madison Square Garden into a staging ground for extremism.
Isn't it wild to hear what they put on MSNBC at this point? I mean, isn't that insane? Like, that's just normal for them. You want to know why everybody in this country has gone nuts? It's listening to that. They've all gone insane. They've listened to that for years now. And they're everywhere, people that watch that network. A staging ground for radicalism is what they said. They played the Nazi rally video from 85 years ago. And the message, of course, is very clear. This is what they really believe. Unless you agree to let them decimate the country, you are a fascist. Attempt to stop violent mobs from looting and burning down American cities like they did in 2020. If you try to stop that, you are a fascist. Attempt to deport millions of people that they lured into your country to expand their power, you are a fascist. That's it. The desperation to vilify common sense policy is what we're seeing. And that's why Democrats are getting trounced right now. And rather than formulate a more sensible policy and get real with the American people, they just double down on their BS.
It's discouraging that so many people would gather and rally to hate speech in America. That it's discouraging and it hurts that people who have family in Puerto Rico, who are Puerto Rican Americans, who are American citizens, are hearing hate like that. It's discouraging. Oh my gosh, how did we get here? How did we get here where a stadium of people come to hate? That's a different country, a different time.
Calling it right now, this election might kill Mika. I don't think she's going to make it through this one. She might, her brain might explode. A professional comedian makes one joke about Puerto Rico that, by the way, a lot of Puerto Ricans thought was hilarious. And Mika pretends the entire rally was a racist, fascist propaganda. This is why they're losing, because they're so fake. One of the fakest is Alexander Vindman, tweeting out, "I've resisted calling Trump and MAGA fascist, mainly because I understood fascism and Nazism is almost incomprehensibly evil. But the reality is MAGA is today who the Nazis were before they seized power. There's no better historical comparison to MAGA than the Nazis of the early 1930s. So the Ukrainian guy who got Trump impeached for a phone call where Trump asked Ukraine's president to look at Joe Biden's now fully verified corruption in Ukraine now says Trump is a Nazi. He's got so much credibility. These people will say anything. If they'll impeach Trump to protect their own obviously corrupt candidate, they will, of course, do anything to win. They'll say anything to win. They don't care. And this is Hail Mary time, of course. Look at the polls. Tomorrow, Kamala is holding a 7 p.m. rally at the Ellipse in Washington, D.C. 1 week before the election, she's going to speak at the same place that Trump spoke on January 6th. The only people in this country who still care about January 6th are Democrat politicians. That is it. We have seen that loud and clear. And this is going to be her closing message to America. Controlled by a vicious cabal of dark money, we are actively destroying your country even though you don't want us to. Sadly, this country is still clinging to democracy. In order to keep our power, we are determined to make you fear Donald Trump enough to default to our terrible candidate. Donald Trump is a threat to our power, and we will make you believe that he is a threat to your life. That is going to be the closing message from the Democrat Party. You have to be so scared of him that you somehow mindlessly vote for Kamala Harris, even though we all know that she can't do this. She's a terrible candidate. That's it. That's the closing message. And Kamala will deliver that tomorrow. Axios put it much more mildly. In the campaign's final week, Harris is betting that enough voters will be repulsed by Trump and his supporters' behavior to vote for her. That's all they got. They got no plan for you. This is what they have.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.